Parents own some land passed down from my great-grandfather, who bought it as a deer lease around World War I. Grandpa built a log cabin on the land in the late 40s and continued to expand it until the 80s. It's now the size of a small house and has an upper story. Dad modernized it with a septic tank, solar panels, and even paid to run a phone line and internet out there since a neighbor had service a mile away. Downstairs is the living room/TV room, kitchen, bathroom, and a small study with shelves full of books on hunting, fishing, trapping, etc. As a kid, I used to spend hours reading books on African safaris, capstick, Silas, etc., and the Foxfire series. Upstairs is 2 bedrooms and a utility closet. The phone line and batteries for the solar panels reside in. Place is old school and cozy as fuck, loved going up there in the summer and for deer season. Dad was always real nervous about me walking around in the woods alone, always made sure I took a dog and a gun, even when I was 10. Told me to come back to the cabin immediately if I saw or heard anything weird. Never saw anything unusual, but as a kid I sometimes got a creepy feeling like I was being watched and could hear twigs snap in the distance. Usually when that happened the dog would tear after whatever it was and I'd either keep playing or head back. Fast forward to adulthood. College isn't for me, my parents can't pay for it, I sure as hell can't pay for it, and my grades, while decent, aren't good enough to get me a scholarship or anything, so I drop out in my sophomore year, planning to take classes one at a time at the local community college until I have enough credit for a degree. That worked for about 1 semester, then I said fuck it and just worked my ass in construction for a year straight, saved all my money, and since I was living with my parents still, I didn't have much in the way of expenses. Then I got an idea. Hey Dad, I haven't been to the cabin in a while, and I've got plenty of money saved up, nearly 10 grand by then, so I was thinking maybe I'd move out of the house and into the cabin. I'll pay for the utilities, pretty much just the phone/internet since water was from a well and electricity from solar, do some upkeep, and just sort of rough it on my own for a while. Whadda ya think? Dad is all for it, thinks it'll teach me self-sufficiency. Mom is worried I'll cut myself chopping firewood and bleed to death where nobody will find me. Naturally, we men veto Mom and I pack all my shit into my old ass Chevy Blazer, army surplus with Rattlecan camo, no AC, but it ran like a champ until I totaled it driving on ice last winter, and prepare to head up to the cabin. Dad pulls me aside, tells me to remember to always keep a gun with me at all times and to take both dogs. I was gonna take my dog, a German Shepherd named Kaiser, but he insists I take his Australian Shepherd Baxter as well. Kaiser is young, energetic, etc. Baxter is old, laid back, and half Kaiser's size, but he's definitely top dog and makes sure Kaiser knows it. Dad tells me there's dangerous things in the woods and not to be macho. If I get scared, come home immediately. Dangerous? Like what? Bears. Bears weren't exactly common around the cabin, but they did wander through occasionally. Sure. Like bears. Have fun, stay safe, call us when you get there. I get up to the cabin and the scenery is beautiful, both dogs are glad to be out of the car. Unlock the cabin, open all the windows to air the place out, smells like dust and mothballs, and bring my stuff in. Remember to call parents to let them I got there okay. Cell phone has no service, cabin phone is a fucking rotary phone. Unplug old ass TV in living room, replace with my flat screen from home, bigger, better picture, and it uses less electricity anyway, so less of a strain on the batteries at night. Grab one of the 2 rifles I brought with me, a Gibbs Quest 2 Extreme .308 carbine. Basically an eShop or Lee Enfield SMLE cut down into a jungle carbine, with chrome-lined bore, nickel finish, and a 10 R&D mag. It's been my deer gun ever since I was 15. Whistle for the dogs and they follow me outdoors. Patrol the property, noting brush that needs cleared out, a wasp nest on one of the deer blinds that needs removed, etc. Nothing unusual, just remote land that hasn't been maintained for most of a year. Head back to cabin to cook dinner and watch a movie. I watch the original The Thing, flanked on either side of the couch by dogs as I eat my chili. Notice both dogs keep lifting their heads and perking their ears like they hear something, but they settle back down after a few seconds. Right at the part where the Thing eats the guy's hands when he tries to use the defibrillator, there's a loud bang from the kitchen and dishes clatter all over the floor. Dogs tear into kitchen snarling and barking. I follow them to see WTF. Pot I cooked chili in is on the floor, along with a couple pans left out on the counter. How the hell did that happen? Suddenly notice the screen in the window next to the stove is missing. Look out and see it on the ground. The dogs sprint outside like guided missiles, barking and howling, the second I open the door. It's just a raccoon or something trying to get to the chili, whatever. Replace screen, shut window, clean up mess, and call dogs. Dogs come back panting and excited. Go around shutting every downstairs window, then finish watching my scurry movie. Okay, it's late, time to head upstairs for bed. Both dogs follow me and lay on the floor at the foot of the bed. I lay there in the dark listening to the breeze rustling the trees outside and revel in the isolation and nature. Wake up around 3 a.m. and hear a weird warbling noise. It sounds kinda like a bird, but not. More like sometime imitating a bird call. Look out window, see nothing but pitch black, roll over and think nothing of it as I go back to sleep. Next day, take my rifle and the dogs with me to chase all the wasps/spiders/ants/ whatever out of the deer blinds on the property, clear some brush from the trails, and give up 5 minutes into repairing a wooden footbridge over the creek. I have a couple months to fix it, fuck it. Kaiser keeps staring at something off in the distance and snarling. Baxter gives no shits and just chills at my feet the whole time. Head back to cabin, eat lunch, then head out to walk the trails again and see where the deer are moving. Kaiser runs off into the woods barking. Baxter and I follow just for the hell of it. Stumble across what looks like a giant bird nest on the ground made of sticks, leaves, and other crap. It's big enough that I could bed down in it. Both dogs are going crazy, sniffing everywhere. There's a pile of nuts under a nearby bush, like a squirrel was making a cache, and some small bones, probably from a rabbit. Notice a weird, musty smell, but it's faint so I shrug it off. Whatever animal was bedding down here probably won't come back now that the dogs have tromped all through it and peed all over the landscape. Finally pry dogs away and head back to the cabin. Spend an hour or two perusing old books in the study. My grandpa used anything and everything for a bookmark, so I'm finding pressed flowers, leaves, old dollar bills, coupons, etc. in the books. Nostalgia settles over me like a comfy blanket. Get hungry and head to the kitchen to cook some beef stew for dinner. Stirring the stew on the stove, suddenly get this creepy feeling. I look up and there's something staring at me through the window not 2 feet away. I literally yell oh shit and drop my spoon as I backpedal away from the window. Whatever or whoever it is, it's huge. Shaggy, reddish brown hair, deep set black eyes under a caveman forehead, head's kind of conical, flat, broad nose. I can't tell what the hell it is, it looks kinda like a gorilla. Both dogs come to investigate the disturbance and catch sight/smell of the thing and go ballistic, barking and snarling. Whatever it is, this does not make it happy and it slams a fist against the side of the cabin, knocking a frying pan off the wall. This does not calm the dogs down in the least. I move into the living room to grab my rifle, trying to keep my eye on the thing the entire time. Just as I reach the gun, it stands up. It was at eye level with me looking through the window, so it took me by surprise when it stood up even taller, at least 7, maybe 8 feet. I run back to the window and it's walking away into the trees. Turn on the outside light and open the door. Both dogs take off after it and it hauls ass into the trees, screeching like a banshee. I fire a shot in the air to discourage it further, then call the dogs. They won't come back. Barking and screeching fade into the distance. I keep calling the dogs. They don't come back for an hour, and when they do they're covered in mud and briars. Get the dogs inside and clean them up, top off rifle, and sit there trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. Either it's a prank and that's some guy in a gorilla costume, or a deformed bear came back to try to steal my food again. Between the dogs and the gunshot, it's not coming back. Right? Eat my stew and clean up immediately so the smell doesn't attract the thing again. Double check that the downstairs is locked up tight and the outside lights are on, basically just porch lights, one outside the kitchen/back door and one outside the front door. Head upstairs and take rifle with me. Dogs stay glued to me the entire time. Ain't no fucking way I'm staying downstairs where that thing can watch me through the windows. Finally fall asleep as I rationalize that whatever it was, it's gone now. Wake up, no idea what time it is, and there's that warbling, chirping noise again. Whack. The hell? Whack. Look out the window, don't see anything. Whack. Something is hitting the side of the cabin. Both dogs are whining/growling. Shine my flashlight out the window, don't see anything. Turn the light off and wait about 30 seconds. Whack. This time I saw it, a rock bounced off the side of the cabin right below my window. Some motherfucker is in the tree line throwing rocks at my cabin. Hey. This is my property. I've got a gun. Get the fuck out of here before I call the sheriff. Silence for a long minute. Whack. This time the rock hits the window frame a foot from my head. Okay, motherfucker, you wanna play games? I stick my rifle out the window and fire off a shot in the general direction of where the rocks are coming back. I hear that weird bird call noise again and something big goes tearing through the brush. Nope, fuck this. Shut all the upstairs windows, toss my rifle on the bed, and put on my pistol belt. It's time for the heavy artillery. Grab my imble FAL from the closet, slap in a 20 R&D mag, and chamber around. Put on headlamp, grab both dogs, and head out the back door into the woods. You're not getting away, asshole, I'll teach you to fuck with me. Dogs run off into the dark, barking, and I follow in hot pursuit. About half a mile from the cabin, I'm beginning to rethink this whole run into the woods at night with an unknown creature that is way bigger than me plan. Can't see dogs, but I can hear them, they're both definitely chasing something. Hear the loud screech from before. Run to catch up with the dogs, trip on a rock and face plant, but adrenaline makes me get right back up and keep going without really noticing the fall. Suddenly hear a dog yelp in pain, can't tell which one. Run even faster, shouting for the dogs. Suddenly see something looming on the trail ahead of me. It's Baxter, he's limping and coming back. His left hip is bleeding, looks like somebody hit him with a rock. Now I'm pissed. Keep heading down the trail to catch up with Kaiser. Baxter limps along beside me. Loud screeching and Kaiser barking seems to indicate he may have whatever it is cornered or treed. I'm almost there when something whizzes through the air and almost hits me. That came from a different direction than the screeching and barking. Oh fuck, there's two of them. I fire a shot in the general direction of where the rock came from and call for Kaiser. Baxter won't leave my side now. A big stick flies through the air and lands at my feet. I can't see where it came from with just my headlamp. Fire another shot and decide fuck this, I'm heading back to the cabin. Keep firing shots occasionally to keep whatever is throwing things at me at bay. Can hear it crashing through the brush off to my left as it follows me down the trail. Kaiser is still barking and won't come when called. Nearly back to the cabin when I hear Kaiser yelp. Call his name for the umpteenth time, hear something crashing through the brush and aim my rifle at the noise. Kaiser appears at Mach 2 and runs right past me and keeps going. Thanks, asshole, just leave me for dead. I fire another shot down the trail to discourage pursuit, then haul ass back to the cabin, Baxter right on my heels. Kaiser is waiting for me, whining and scratching at the door to be let in. This is a big dog, one that's taken on and killed a coyote that got in our yard one time. What the hell has him so scared? We all three pile into the cabin, I reload my rifle, and check the dogs. Baxter has a nasty bruise where the rock hit him, but only a little bit of bleeding. Kaiser appears unharmed, but something scared the shit out of him. I run upstairs, barricade the door behind me, and open the window so I can shoot at anything approaching from that side of the house. Shit, I should call my dad or the sheriff, but the phone's downstairs. Fuck that. I hear rustling in the tree line and more of that warbling noise, but nothing comes out where I can see it and no more rocks are thrown at my cabin. I finally relax and start to feel safe around dawn. With no sleep and the adrenaline wearing off, I hang my gun belt on the corner of the bed, lean both rifles against the wall, and go to sleep. Wake up around noon, make a sandwich for lunch, and think about my situation. Whatever they are, escaped circus gorillas, Bigfoot, mutant bears, whatever, there's at least 2 of them and they're both big. They're also not particularly friendly, but I also get the impression they're a lot less of a threat than they could be if they wanted to. I think they're more harassing me in revenge for scaring them off with dogs and gunshots when one of them tried to reach through the window and steal my food. I decide to set a trap. Empty an old, musty bag of deer corn on the ground, spread it around and leave a pile of it right where I can aim perfectly from the bedroom window. Then I pour a can of soup onto the pile as additional bait and head back inside. Hopefully they take the bait and I can shoot one and bring it back as proof / to find out what the hell they are. Keep my gun belt on and FAL in arm's reach all day, just in case they come back in the daylight. Watch movies all day, looking out the window to check the bait pile every few minutes. Both dogs are nervous, but don't seem to have anything actively setting them off. They stick to me like Velcro all day. Night arrives and I go around double checking all the downstairs doors and windows are locked. I set up in the bedroom window with a perfect view of the bait pile and wait in ambush. An hour or so into my vigil, and I notice the outside light is getting dim. No, what? Why? Suddenly, I realize that I had all the lights in the cabin on all of last night, all day, and today, and it was cloudy and overcast so the solar panels weren't charging the battery very well with all the lights and the TV running. Damn it. I go to the utility closet between the bedrooms to check the batteries, and they're almost dead. Even if I shut off all the lights except the 2 outside lights, they won't last long. Well, that's what generators are for. The noise may scare the critters away, it might not. I head downstairs, shutting off lights as I go, and brace myself. The generator is on the front porch, in a little enclosure so nobody steals it. I have to go outside to start it. I open the door and shoo the dogs outside, they seem to indicate that there isn't anything around for the moment. Set my rifle down, unlock generator enclosure, flip all the right switches, and yank the pull cord. Other than when I first got to the cabin and ran it to make sure it worked, it hasn't been started in months, so it takes 6 tries before it starts up. Grab rifle, call dogs, and head back inside. I go into the kitchen and flip the switch that switches from solar/battery power to generator power. The inside lights are all turned off, but the outside lights are still on and suddenly go from very dim to full power. The kitchen window is dark, something is blocking the light. One of the things is hunched over and peering through the window, trying to see inside. I stifle a shout, aim my rifle right at its face, and fire 5 or 6 rounds as fast as I can pull the trigger. I must have jerked the trigger, because the window exploded in a spray of glass and the thing howled like I hit it, but instead of dying from a gunshot wound to the face it turned and ran off into the woods. I run to the window and look outside, but see nothing. More warbling and what sounds very like a person moaning in pain and sobbing is coming from the tree line. Nope. I'm done. Fuck this, I'm out. Seriously, I'm not doing this anymore. Run out the front door with both dogs, lock the cabin behind me, jump in the blazer, and haul ass into town where I can get some cell reception. Immediately call my dad and tell him everything. He says he's coming out to meet me and to stay put. 2 hours later, my dad pulls up to the truck stop I've been waiting at, has me repeat the story to him again, and then follows me out to the cabin. The generator is still running and the outside lights are on. We clear the cabin and there are no intruders. Then we send the dogs outside, they mill around outside the kitchen window and near the bait pile, but don't seem to think anything is around. Dad finds some blood under the window and follows a trail of it to the tree line. He's smarter than me and doesn't go into the woods in the dark. We clean up the broken glass and board up the window. Dad swaps his shotgun for my Gibbs rifle that I left upstairs, and we discuss what the hell was going on. He mentions that he's seen them twice. Once he saw a small one as a kid, he was running around playing like I did, and he came across it drinking at the creek. It hooted like a monkey and ran off. He wasn't sure if it was his imagination or if he really saw it, but either way it wasn't much bigger than he was at the time and had run away, so it didn't seem dangerous. He changed his mind years later when he was an adult. He was in a tree blind waiting for a deer and a full-grown one stepped out of the trees and started eating his deer corn. He was debating shooting it and proving the existence of Bigfoot when it noticed him and walked over to the tree. Then it reached up and nearly touched his foot. This thing was tall. Dad panicked and threw a full can of beer at it, missing. It reached for him again, chattering like a bird or a monkey, and he grabbed a second beer out of his mini cooler and this time he beamed it on the head. It howled and ran off into the trees where he couldn't see it, then started throwing rocks and sticks at him. He fired a shot to scare it off, climbed down from the blind, and ran back to the cabin. He'd never seen it again since, but knowing it was out there always freaked him out, which is why he always had me take a dog and a gun with me as a kid. He never told anyone what he'd seen because he didn't want them to think he was crazy or make fun of him for being drunk and seeing things. Well, now 2 of us had seen the damn things. They didn't come back all that night, and we headed into town to get a replacement window when morning came. We made sure the cabin was secure, put all my stuff in the blazer, and drove home. We didn't go back until deer season. There was no sign the things had tried breaking into the cabin since we left. Haven't seen or heard them since, never tried to follow the blood trail in the daylight, so I have no idea how seriously I wounded it. Now, here's what I saw/heard. Thing was about 7 or 8 feet tall, wide, and muscular, like a gorilla, but it stood upright like a person. Head was conical, bullet-shaped, it had deep-set black eyes with a heavy brow, like a stereotypical caveman or gorilla, flat, broad nose, mouth stuck out like an ape's or a black person's. I never saw its teeth, and it had small jug ears that stuck out the side of its head. It was covered head to toe in rust-colored, reddish-brown hair, long and coarse-looking. It didn't seem to have hair on its face or hands, but it was dark and I wasn't really focusing on details since I was scared shitless, so I can't say for certain. I definitely noticed this musty, wet animal smell whenever it was nearby, but not the strong rotting garbage smell other people report when describing similar creatures. It just smelled like a dirty animal. Vocalizations were a bird-like warbling, chirping noise, a loud hooting noise like a chimp, and ear-splitting screeches that I really can't compare to anything else I've ever heard. At no time did it sound like intelligible speech or a human voice. This was definitely an animal. There were definitely 2, since Kaiser had one cornered and another was throwing things at me, but I never saw more than one at a time and don't know if I saw the same one every time or if it was a different one at different times. The only signs of intelligence/tool usage were when they threw rocks and sticks at me/the cabin. I assume they're also what made the nest of sticks and leaves on the ground, but can't say for certain. They seemed attracted to my chili and beef stew, but didn't take the soup and deer corn bait I put out for them, maybe because I wasn't cooking and spreading the smell of food, or maybe because they didn't want the bait. I was scared shitless, but even at the time I didn't think they really wanted to hurt me. They just wanted to steal my food and harassed me by throwing stuff.